The robots are coming.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Oslo, Norway. How are we feeling? We feel good? I'm just proud of him, and I'm proud to call him a friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome to the stage, Adam McConnell. Damn! Look at you all! I love you, Adam! Oh, wow. Who let him in? Wow. A full house, you know, they said we couldn't do it, Adam, it's not going to happen. Right? Nobody's going to turn up. But, you know, 19,000 people here tonight, that is absolutely amazing. That is amazing, guys. Look, this thing's getting filmed, it's going onto YouTube, people at home will have no idea. It was packed. Guys, I've got a bit of a confession to make.
There is no book.
There is no book. You see, I got an email about 5 weeks ago from this Nigerian banker, and he said, Adam, if you can get about 200 people in a room, and they all give you $6, then we can make, you know, everybody rich. That was an IQ test, mate. All right, put your money away. Calm down. So, no, really, the real confession is that ever since I was a little boy, I've been kind of shy. Now, that's true. Very, very shy as a child. But all of that changed when I turned 19 and I stepped behind a bar for the very first time. Now, Inya James and his little ginger ninja mate are running around with the cameras and the videos, and they don't want me to move from here. But I'm really nervous and kind of feel, you know, a bit naked standing here. Would it be okay if I kind of do this behind the bar? Because if I do it from behind there, I'm going to be able to relax. It's going to be a bit of walking music. We are in a theatre after all. Right, let's walk over there. Perfect. Cool. Right. That's better. Excellent. See, behind here, I'm cool as a cucumber. I even have props. See, behind a bar, you can do stuff like that. Out here, nerve-wracking. In here, safety zone. It's perfect. I don't want you starving, mate. There you go, you can have that. You too, big fella, I don't want you missing out either. Hey, did everybody get popcorn? You're welcome. Now, we are here, obviously, to actually launch a brand new product into the world today. It's a product that I'm not only proud of, I think it is unique, it is beautifully designed, 100% entertaining, and well and truly overdue. I also think it makes sense. People ask me all the time, Adam, did you get into bartending because of the movie Cocktail? Right? Happens all the time. And I'm here to sort of clear the air. I was 7 when Cocktail came out, alright? 7. You know what Cocktail is for me? Cocktail for me is my very first ever sex scene. It's the waterfall, Elizabeth's shoe, boob action on the side, yummy, yummy. Me and Elizabeth have been like that ever since. As a 7-year-old, I became a man that day watching Cocktail. Now, the movie that got me into bartending is this one, Goodfellas. Right? There's a line in that movie that sold it on me. They said, he tipped the bartender $100 just to keep the ice cold. And I thought, shit, I can keep ice cold. So as a 19-year-old guy, I went looking for a bar job, and in I came. Now, whether we like it or not, the movie Cocktail does influence our industry. Sometimes for the positive, sometimes for the negative, but it does influence it. My favourite part of Cocktail, though, is the entrepreneurial spirit that is inside Tom Cruise's main character. So when I thought about 4 years ago, what's my next move going to be? I thought, what, am I going to write a cocktail book? People are telling me, Adam, you should write a cocktail book. Well, no, filling another book with pretty pictures and recipes of drinks nobody's ever going to make, that's not my style, So these ones here, they're already out there, they're brilliant, they're fantastic, works of knowledge, and I would have to be extremely arrogant to think that I could ever possibly offer the world something new in this regard. No, to me, I thought a great idea might be to interview bartenders and get the dirt, get the juice, get the real stories of what happens behind the bar, put that in with some cartoons and stick that in a book. So, once I had that idea, I did what anybody in this room would have done at the same time. I went and got myself a little book called How to Write an Ebook in 3 Days. It's true, I did. It took me 4 days just to read it, so I think that's bullshit. And 3 days versus 4 years, well, you do the math. I guess this thing's been sitting on oak barrels for long enough. This is what I was thinking 4 years ago. This is how I thought the whole thing would work, so excuse me. This is me, by the way. See the cannons? You recognise those? Right. I was going to sit here in Oslo, and the idea would be that I would send one of those little dictaphones into a parcel, send it off to different parts of bartenders around the world. Now, in this example, we have the dictaphone heading off to South Africa, and then Tug would just, as he's taking his time, have a beer and tell the stories into the dictaphone. Now, the real genius of this is that he would then take the digital recordings and email them to a couple of girls I had working for me in San Francisco and Queensland. They would listen to the stories, type it out for me, and then send it back to me in Oslo, and I would never have to go anywhere and never have to listen to anyone. Brilliant, right? And then he would then pass on the dictaphone to the next bartender on my list, and around the world it would travel, and I could stay at home in my secure bunker, stroking my cat. That was my evil plan. But I don't know if you know too many bartenders. I guess you know a couple. They're pretty bloody useless. They're not exactly the most reliable bunch. I mean, you guys turned up. I love you. That's excellent. But try to get a bartender to do something, difficult. Good luck. And I try to get him to do something before 5 o'clock. Good luck. Right? So sending this dictaphone around the world, it was just never going to happen. I got on board Skype and I started traveling around the world in aeroplanes and buying people beers. Now look, along the way, guys, people were giving me all these stories. I had to find a very quiet place to settle down and put them all together. So I did what any of you guys would do again. I jumped on board the vodka train from Moscow to Beijing and spent 7 days plowing through all the stories and trying to come up with what the hell this book was going to be. Myself and my buddy Cruz, he's around here somewhere, we did that trip. And by the time I got to Beijing, I'd actually made some decisions about this book. And I guess the decision number one was, what is the first chapter going to be? So, the first chapter is this one. Masters versus Apprentices. Now, these are the stories that involve the new guy behind the bar with the old hand. The legend, the guy who's going to teach him the ropes. And all too often, the new guy, knowing nothing, obviously, is led down the garden path by the old guy who knows everything. And this is where you get the stories of piss-taking and humiliation and things like that. So this chapter is right up there. If you've only just started bartending, you're going to associate with it. But if you've been training bartenders, you are going to love it because you've done all that stuff in this book. The next chapter, sex, babes, and debauchery. Well, come on. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You're not going to find out about this in cocktail books, but this is 90% of the reason why bartenders get involved in the first place. Right? We want that nocturnal lifestyle, a little bit of rule breaking. Right? So this chapter basically wrote itself. The next one was occupational hazards. I just love that cartoon. It is so on the money. There's lots of things behind the bar that can hurt you, but most of the things that present themselves as the occupational hazard are the guests who come into the bar. Right, so we have all those interactions between bartender and guest. And you imagine what happens when you throw a couple of Vorspiels in, you throw some alcohol on top of those stories. The interactions, well again, this chapter basically wrote itself as well. Liquid Assets 101, possibly the most controversial chapter in the whole book. Paul Flair took this entire chapter. This one sort of teaches and tells and gives stories about how some bartenders have kept their pockets lined with loose cash, have keys to Swiss bank accounts and things like that, and sort of the inside scoop, bit of a voyeuristic look inside the tip jar of some bars around the world. So I imagine it'll be quite an interesting read for tax accountants. The Centurion, right. So this chapter here has got 4 really awesome stories. The guys involved in this chapter, this was some of my favourite moments making it. And what I've decided to do, because we're only doing 3,000 copies of this book, once the 3,000 are done, the limited edition is finished, I'm going to pull this chapter out of the book. And the reason for that is I want to reward people that get on board this product first and early, because I'm hoping to be able to do series 1, 2, 3, 5 and 10. Right? So if you're able to get on board early, help make this happen, then you will get the inside scoop on these 4 delicious stories from the Centurion. Because once it goes audio and digital and paperback, I'm pulling that thing out to reward you guys. At least you came. The last chapter in the book is called Island Life. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to an island. I'm sure you have. You know, to get on an island, you've got to go through an airport. And at airports, they have those metal detectors. And I've always kind of felt that when people walk through a metal detector, they kind of leave their inhibitions over there and they step into holiday mode over here. Now, when a bartender does that and a holiday maker does that at the same time, then the rules of cocktail engagement get broken, and we have some fantastic stories that happen whilst people are on holidays visiting their favourite bars and obviously bartenders. It's basically an adaptation of Sex, Babes and Debauchery, but just with suntanners. Alright, well look, I've spoken for about 5 hours. Do you reckon we should actually launch this book now? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to do this. It is here. There it is! There it is. Thank you. So, that's what it looks like. Do you want to hear a story? Yeah!